Welcome in episode 20 of the Holton Ahlers Show. We have a huge guest, one of the best all time at East Carolina. Join us on the other side. Hope you enjoy the show. If not, as always,
That's too damn bad! Holton Ahlers turns, and Holton will take off and run himself. He's at the 40-yard line. Holton Ahlers to the 30. Look at him go! 20, 10, 5. Touchdown, Pirates!
There's local politics, bud.
It's showtime!
episode 20, the Holton Ahlers Show with the walk-ons. And now joining us, one of the best coaches to ever coach at ECU, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinion, Jeff Connors. Before we get to him, I want to read off some of his accolades. So he had 18 years at ECU, sadly 10 years at UNC, coach. We ain't going to talk about it. Inducted into the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame in 2011, chosen for Executive Marine Corps Leadership Forum at the Pentagon in 2014, inducted into the USA Strength and Conditioning Coaches Hall of Fame in 2016. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I'm thrilled to have him. If you know anything about ECU, you know about Jeff Connors. Coach, welcome in.
Great to be here. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Hey, let's go. I was fortunate enough to have, I guess, a season with you at least before they, flip the whole thing upside down. But anyone around ECU knows that you're one of the best Pirates of all time. And we spent some time together training for my pro day later on too, which I cherish great. You got to meet Jack during that process, and you've told tons of stories. And I just want to give you the chance. This is to start off this the right way, and I want you to explain what it means to be a Pirate.
Yeah, basically, in my opinion, I think the first thing that you have to recognize when you come into the program or be part of the programs, you got to respect and have knowledge of the Pirate tradition. I think that's number one.
Absolutely.
It was established, football was established in East Carolina in 1932. I did not know much about East Carolina University, East Carolina football, until I was contacted by the strength coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, Ronnie Jones, who was a friend of mine that I became acquainted with, and he was good friends with Steve Logan. And Ronnie said, they're going to hire a strength coach at East Carolina University. Would you be interested? And I said, yes, I would. I was at Bucknell at the time. I started a strength program there. I've never been a GA or an assistant coach. I was just started as a head coach, starting a program at Bucknell University back in about 1987. And I came to ECU in 1991, but I was very excited about coming there. I like to study a town and a program, before I get there, because I'm going to tell you what, it's kind of crazy, but at first I thought I was coming to Western Carolina, because when I was at TMI Academy coaching, we had a postgraduate program. We went and played Western Carolina, and they're purple and gold. And so I got a little bit confused as to even where I was coming to on the airplane. So, but to me, I always had four things as far as what I was concerned when I came into the program. I wanted to establish accountability and work ethic and discipline and spirit. Those are my four things. And of course, when you looked at the tradition of ECU football, some of the success that they had in the past, some of the history, those four things were already part of the culture as far as I was concerned. And those four things were important to Coach Lewis, who hired me as well. I've always liked the quote by Douglas MacArthur that there's only one kind of discipline, and that's perfect discipline.
Yes, sir.
Out of those four things, the number one thing for me was establish and maintain discipline, because of the fact that I do a lot of things. I actually wrote a book, Collegiate Battlefield, about the parallels between the military and athletics. And if you look at the Marine Corps, some of the Marine Corps manuals, one of the quotes is, "It's too late to learn discipline on the battlefield. It must be learned in training." And that's perfect for me. And that was, of course, I ran with that big time as a strength coach. And I made sure that everybody that I was training felt that way as well. You know, some people don't think that toughness can be improved, but I'm not one of those people. You know, when you look at what the Navy SEALs go through, when you look at the Army Rangers, you can look at any high-level group in the military. If you want to be part of that group, you got to show toughness. And I believe the same thing with regard to football as well. Nobody will ever change my mind about that. I believe toughness can be developed. I believe that discipline is crucial. I believe that these four things are vital to being successful in life. And if I can be part of the staff that teaches you those things during the time you're in college, whatever, if you're a walk-on, if you never played, you're going to go out and be successful. And so that's what I believe. I guess you could say number one. Number two would be the connection with the fan base. We all know that East Carolina's got a tremendous fan base. Some of my experiences were the first year I was in shock. I mean, the plane would land, we'd get back, and like there'd be a crowd that we had to wade through, when the plane landed. And we used to fly into Kinston. We couldn't even fly into Greenville back then because the runway wasn't long enough for whatever was going on. And then after the Peach Bowl, I came back, rode the bus from the airport, and from Kinston to Greenville, the road was lined with fans. You're not going to see that everywhere. And so that's very special. I thought Ruff and McNeil had a great connection with the fan base. So that's the second thing that I would say in relationship to tradition, what it means to be a Pirate. Third thing would be what I thought was very important is creating subordinate leadership. And through the years, you look at Jeff Carr, you look at Shane Carden. I wrote down a few guys here: David Garrard, Robert Jones, Jerry Dillon, the Hart twins, Emmanuel McDaniel. And then, of course, I watched you play and watched you lead the team, and I thought you were a great leader. You led by example. You led by toughness. And I just thought that you did a great job with that. And that was big, particularly with a lot of the success you had your last year.
Yes, sir. So, appreciate you, Coach.
That's what you say is, the sergeant is the Army. And those are some of my thoughts right there.
Got me ready to play right now, Coach. Let's go.
Let's do it, man.
I want to we're going to get into the coaching side of it. We got tons of questions for that. I want to talk. You look at the ECU teams that have been successful in the history of the program, and it all starts, all of them had a good quarterback, a solid quarterback that could know how to win games. That's something I had to learn how to do. I came in as a losing program and had to learn how to win games. When you look, a lot of people don't know this about you, that you're a former quarterback and yourself. So we've had X's and O talks before in the past, behind the scenes. But what do you think when you're looking at a quarterback? Maybe you're recruiting a quarterback or bringing in a transfer, just a quarterback you have on the roster. What do you think the three main tangibles that you're looking for in a quarterback, a successful winning quarterback, are?
I played quarterback for my dad in high school, and that was an experience. And then when I went to college, I redshirted. Then my first year, I was a quarterback. I started 8 or 9 games at quarterback. But I really wanted to hit somebody, so they moved me to defense. The rest of my career, I played a position called a strong corner. I went to strong formation. Of course, you got to have leadership. You got to have the respect of your teammates. And I think in the offseason, you got to work as hard as anybody else. You got to lead from the front. You got to be in better shape. They have to recognize your work ethic. You got to be vocal, because a lot of the NFL scouts would ask me about guys, hey, is this guy a vocal leader? And that was important to them. And so I think you have to be vocal because you are the quarterback. And that's got to be established in the offseason as well. You know, we ran a stadium or whatever we were doing. David Garrard, for instance, we run 10 300s out on the field. He had to run them in 55 seconds. He weighed 250 pounds. You only got 30 seconds rest. And by the end of the summer, he made them all. And I'm going to tell you what, the team respected that quite a bit. So I think that's something you got to do. You got to show toughness. Even though you're a quarterback, you got to show the rest of the team that you're going to lead from the front. You're going to be tough. You got to have intellect. Of course, Steve Logan was the best with that because he had great intellect, and of course, he passed it on. And I would be amazed sometimes just watching him coach. And I sat up in the box my first year and charted plays, and just listening to him talk to Jeff Blake was an experience for me. You know, how intelligent and how detailed and how well he could explain something over the headphones. And Jeff Blake definitely benefited from that. But Jeff had a great year, of course. He was a great talent. We had Jeff Blake, we had Marcus Crandall, Danny Gonzalez. That whole line of quarterbacks that we had that were exceptional. I think you got to have coachability. Of course, you got to maintain a cool head. Of course, when my dad, in high school, he used to jump me pretty good if I made him. So I had to keep a cool head. I couldn't, get anxiety about it. I just had to take it and go back out on the field and relax and do my job. So yeah, that's what I'd have to say about that.
Coach, sticking kind of on the offensive side of the ball, you obviously coached with some high octane offenses, and now ECU is going to a transitioning phase on the offense side of the ball where they're going to be going with a much faster tempo on the offensive side of the ball. As a strength coach, would you change your approach through winter, spring, summer based on your offense and the team and what you guys were hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, I think this is where you look at position specifics. Some people say, well, why you got to run shuttles? Why you got to run 300s? I mean, football's a sprint game. Well, I play defensive back, so I'm going to run with a post. I'm going to run with an out and up. I'm going to have to force on a sweep. I might have to line back up and run with another post. Now, I'm not going to get a whole lot of the defensive backs don't substitute. In fact, I would be mad if somebody tried to come in and take any of my reps. So I think defensive backs have to be in better shape than anyone else out on the field. And I think it's also very important that you understand that it's not just a short anaerobic energy system. You're going to have to develop a tolerance to lactate levels. And in order to do that, you better run some shuttles. You better run some 300s. You better run some 110s. And you better do some things that are very specific to what your job's going to be. If you're a defensive lineman and you're going to go 3 platoon, you're going to take 25, 30 snaps. Well, that's a little bit different. But if I see you bending over out there, tapping your helmet, then obviously you have not conditioned well for your position.
Right.
So I think a lot of it is position specifics. I think a lot of it is learning how to train linemen as opposed to skill players, and understanding that the game is different for different position groups. And basically, when you get into a summer program, the more that you can individualize, the better off you're going to be. And with the offensive lineman, for instance, position specifics are extremely important to them more than anything else because of the uniqueness of what they do. They kick, slide, they punch. They have to be in great posture. They have to learn steps. They have to learn how to use their hips. And so when you look at those Crowther sled drills that I used to do, there was a whole series of those, and I thought those were very specific and very effective in the summer. And I don't know, it might have been illegal for me to use a Crowther sled. I don't guess I was smart enough to know the difference.
Coach, we talked about in the intro, 18 years at ECU. So you went through a lot of head coaches. You had a lot of winning seasons. You had a lot of NFL athletes. You were part of the glory days. You're talking about the Peach Bowl. When you look back at your time at ECU, what coach, you hear the word culture a lot. You hear it, especially a winning culture. What coach do you think had the best winning culture at East Carolina when you were there?
Well, I think that every coach is a little bit different with regard to culture. I would preface this by saying that anybody who becomes a head football coach and gets paid the amount of money that they're getting paid right now has to have been investigated to the point that everybody knows that they have exceptional qualities or they couldn't get the job. I don't care who it is. I mean, if you get a job as a head football coach in today's world, you have done something significant to get there. Now, as far as culture goes, I think East Carolina, for instance, has had a culture that was established many, many years ago, and that culture has had to be recaptured a few times. Bill Lewis, his culture was tight. It was proper. It was very organized and detailed. He was dressed impeccably every day. His shoes were shined. He was, he spoke very well, and he was a grinder. And that was his culture, and that was based on a little bit of his personality. I thought a lot of that was great.
For sure.
Steve Logan was more relaxed. His culture also was very favorable. He'd tell the coaches that if you can't get your work done by 5 o'clock and go spend time with your family, you're not smart enough to work for me. So, he wasn't about keeping coaches there for 15 hours a day. Steve Logan hired some great staffs, and I was really proud to be part of those staffs. You look at Pagano, Hoyer, Jagosinski, Todd Berry, all these guys were head coaches. And of course, Chuck Pagano being a head coach at, an NFL team. Jim Fleming is still a head coach. Kerry Gadet was a great coach. Bob Babich, NFL coach for many years. His son is in the NFL. Bobby Slowick, NFL coach. 2 sons in the NFL as coaches right now. So he hired some great staffs. Ruff and McNeil was really big with the fan base, establishing relationships with the fans, with the Pirate faithful, with kids. He's great with young people. Of course, Lincoln Riley had a lot of responsibility with regard to game planning and things of that nature. So that was a little bit different, where, of course, Logan was more hands-on with that. Scotty Montgomery, I'm still scratching my head what the culture was. And I don't mean that. I mean, I just wasn't I was the strength coach in charge of the strength and conditioning facility, but I really didn't feel like I was part of the football staff. I wasn't in the football meetings. So I couldn't really give you a whole lot of insight there.
Yeah, I remember my first spring there because I graduated high school early, and I remember asking you right before winter conditioning. It was a Friday. I was getting some extra work in with you, and winter conditioning started that Monday. And I was like, so what do we have? What do we have for winter conditioning? And you're like, I don't know. Coach Mo hasn't told me yet. And I was like,
Right.
good Lord. That was my first eye opener. Like, all right, maybe maybe something needs to change here.
Well, Scotty Montgomery is probably going to be a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, that would not surprise me. So I have nothing but positive things to say about the man. I'm just saying, as far as my job was concerned then and the communication, for whatever reason, I was not aware of some of the objectives.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, he's smartest X's and O's coach I've been around. Jack, what do you have for Coach C?
Coach, you talk about head coaches, building cultures, and a big part of building a culture is you want kids to come play for your program. And in this day and age, obviously a lot's changed since you were coaching with some of the guys you just mentioned. But if you were to recruit a kid to become a Pirate right now, what's your pitch? What's your sales pitch to the kid?
Probably going to talk about the culture and the tradition first and how significant that is. Tell them some stories about the power of the fan base and the support of the fan base. I think it's very difficult now when you look at some of the changes that have been made with regard to, so there was $15 billion being made every year. We weren't allowed to buy anybody a meal. We weren't allowed to basically do much as far as helping the players from any kind of financial point or benefit point as it was, I guess you could say, interpreted. But my opinion now is I think it's very difficult to sell your program. So the relationship with the head coach, the assistant coaches with the players is going to be very, very important to sell, because until there's, I guess you could say, a lot of money thrown at these guys to go somewhere else, it's all about loyalty. It's all about relationships, and building those relationships with your position coach and your head coach. And of course, your position coach might leave at any time also. I've seen that many times. So none of this is very easy. I think the strength and conditioning coach plays a major role in this, because a lot of times that's going to be the constant as far as who's going to be with you all year round and who's going to be with you from year to year usually. I think people started to recognize that after a period of time, and that's why strength coaches are getting paid up to $1 million a year now. So obviously there was some recognition there that went on. So I think selling the relationships, selling the culture, selling the fan base, basically sharing some stories, and then talking about some of the events that you're going to have where you're going to interact with the fan base. I think those are important. I think the facilities now are great. I really believe that the indoor facility is a great selling point. And I've been, back in the early 90s and all through the 90s, we didn't have to get off the field, for like an hour if there was lightning. But we were out there in the rain quite a bit. And, of course, we had to come in some. And you're preparing for a game week, and you're out there on a Tuesday, which is extremely important, maybe your most important day, and you got a pouring down rain or you got lightning, and now you got no place to get reps. In Scotty Montgomery's defense, I think that hurt us 2 or 3 games from that standpoint. So I think that indoor facility is crucial.
Yeah,
and I think
I
it's
agree.
a selling point. So the other thing is, I would like to see more, maybe in the new indoor facility, you have more, when I was at Carolina, and I'm just mentioning this, everywhere you looked, there were pictures. And I I mean, even in the stadium, there were huge paintings of guys that made it to the NFL. I think East Carolina should do a better job of selling the guys that played in the NFL. And so when recruits come in, they see this, that, hey, I'm coming to East Carolina and I too can make it to the NFL. We got guys that I coach that are coaches in the NFL. And there are a lot of guys from East Carolina that have had great careers in the NFL. So I think that recruits have got to become more aware of that when they come on campus.
Yeah, and I think a lot of coaches around the nation are all kind of having trouble adapting to the new way of recruiting and meeting the recruits' needs. But what you just mentioned certainly is definitely the key point of what every recruit should be looking for. Holton, what do you got?
Yeah, Coach, I'm asking you one more question, then Drew's going to give you two questions from the fans real quick. But you were talking about the stories, and obviously you've named off the coaches that you've coached for and all the years you've been at East Carolina. I just want to hear one ECU story that maybe fans don't know, maybe we don't know, that you think we should know.
I was very touched by, I was very, I guess you could say, impressed or influenced by some of the boosters that we had who took us, like, during the times that we were pretty successful. They were taking us on golf trips. I don't know if people know how significant Walter Williams was to us, how significant the group that used to take us. They even took us to Florida one year, and we just had a great time as a coaching staff. Jeff Foster, Joe Wallace, Mark Montanaro when he was here, Jeff Harbison was part of that group. Two guys came to like every game that we had when Steve Logan was here, Danny Bersini and John McMillan. Danny had owned the Elbow Room, and I think John managed it. John and I are good friends. He takes me to the games, so I really appreciate that. So he's still doing things for coaches. But I like to tell people about that, to let them know how thankful I am and how significant that was and how good that made us feel and how much better, we probably coached as a result of how we felt about being supported by those guys. And the other story, when I first got here, I think the second day I was here in 1991, Deion Johnson didn't show up for the workout. And Deion had a great career. I love Deion. But when he didn't show up, I went to his room. Well, I guess no coach ever went to somebody's room. So when I was beating on the door and they finally answered, Deion was there, and David Daniels, he just started rolling on the floor laughing because I came to get Deion. So, I had to establish a new precedent where that was concerned, I guess.
Hey, I love it. And we need to clip that and show the boosters now. And obviously they're doing a good job with NIL and Pirate Club. They got a whole lot more on their plate, but they serve a huge purpose. And obviously they know that, but the more the merrier. Drew, what you can go ahead, Coach.
Well, what I was going to say about that is, we've gone from one extreme to another extreme. I even had I bought a linebacker dress pants to travel in one year when we went to the Mobile, Alabama Bowl because we didn't get warm-up suits to travel in. So, I was worried about buying somebody a pair of pants. And I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to get fired. But
now they're giving guys $1 million. But
what I say is, I think everybody ought to get a base pay. I think it's got to be performance-based bonuses and longevity-based bonuses. If you stay in this program, look at the money you can make if you just stay here. If you stay here your senior year, look at the bonus you're going to get. To me, I don't understand, why it's just a Wild West with this, the way this thing goes. But I was never there when this came in, so there's a lot of things I don't know.
Honestly, I've never heard that take before. You might have just solved it. That's probably the best take I've heard. Drew, what do we got fan-wise? I know we got a couple of questions for him, and then Coach will let you go.
Yeah. So the first question, I think you kind of hinted at what the answer will be. What's the hardest season Coach C ever had?
The hardest season I ever had was when Scotty Montgomery was here and the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. And I had to stand out there on the sideline and witness that. And I mean, that was the worst feeling. That was the sickest feeling I've ever had in my life, is not trying to understand what in the world was going on with the defense. And that was the hardest thing that I ever had to go through, because comparatively, okay, let's go back to 1999, for instance. We beat West Virginia, Duke, South Carolina, Miami, and NC State. Okay, 1995, we went back to a Liberty Bowl. We beat Syracuse, West Virginia, and Stanford, and we also had to play Illinois and Tennessee in that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I had some great times, and you know, I feel like I've been everywhere from the penthouse to the outhouse. I had 11 win season, 10 win seasons, 9 win seasons, some 8 win seasons, and then, of course, the other experience.
No doubt.
Coach, one of a kind. I appreciate you for joining. We'll have to get together this summer and play a little bit of golf.
No doubt about it. I just came back from Myrtle Beach of 3 days of golf, and my back still hasn't recovered.
Hey, I know what you're saying there. My back took a beating when I was at ECU. But, Coach, thanks for joining, as always. One of the best Pirates of all time. Obviously, those stories were great. So we'll get you on soon before the season or during the season, and we'll definitely stay in touch.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. See you, Coach.
Oh, Holton, it looks like you and Coach both need to take a trip over to our friends, the Worth Chiropractic family.
Hey, we do. Speaking of it, 1-800-BACK-DOC today. They got a deal going on right now for new patient at the new location, West Arlington Boulevard. If you go in, they got, I think it's $29 deal right now. So go into 1-800, call 1-800-BACK-DOC, the West Arlington location, the new location. They got a deal right now, $29 for, or maybe $39. It might be $29 or $39 for a free consult. And they work with you. They'll free checkup and all that. So go check out that. Call 1-800-BACK-DOC to check out Worth Chiropractic today. We got some new ads running on the radio here soon too. So shout out to those guys for supporting the pod. Boys, I know you guys didn't get a chance to play for Coach C, but you can tell. I personally have always said we love Big John. I think Big John's a great coach, and him and Coach Houston have been together, and Big John understands the culture. But I've always said Coach C and Coach Houston's mentality are literally the exact same. I don't know if they would have worked together because they are the exact same. While like Big John is a good like offset. Him and Coach Houston are great together, but mindset wise, Coach C is just like Coach Houston. Could y'all tell that?
Yeah, that could actually be very dangerous too.
Yeah.
Big John was also a very advocating piece for the players at times.
It's a different world now.
Well, yeah, but I think if we had those two together, it would be wraps. It'd be bad.
Full pads every day, which is
Literally
what Coach Houston was when he first got here. Drew, you asked, you were talking about 300s in our group chat during when he was talking. You said 10 300s. Dude, I want to tell y'all a story. I should have told it when he was up here. So I graduated high school early, and I'm like the bigger time recruit, like quarterback coming in, hopefully going to win games and all this. We used to have a track where the turf is in the weight room, and that's where we would run. We would do a lot of speed stuff in there. So my first day, I'm 18 years old, just graduated, not even graduated high school yet, but technically I had because I enrolled early. We have 10 sets of 10 on squat. So I did 225, 10 sets of 10, but I'm like trying to prove myself. So it was miserable, but I had to do it. And then right after that, I gave everything I could during that. We had the rest of the workout. And then he's like, all right, we have 5 300s. And it was me and Peyton Winstead. He said, Holton, you're racing someone on 300s total time, 5 of them. So like he would run a 300 and he would time it, and they would keep time of each one. And the total time at the end 1. So we had 10 sets of 10 on squat and then 5 300s racing someone on the track in the indoor. They were shuttle 300s, dude. It was miserable. So I don't know if y'all could imagine that, but it was very, very tough.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. We had a track at Nevada. I think it's like one of two or three FBS programs have a track around their football field still. And summers, especially freshman year, they put the freshmen in the 3 o'clock group in that desert heat, and we'd be running like a track team. And yeah, that'll get you for sure.
Yeah. Drew, you think you could do 10 sets of 10 on squat and then race someone for 5 300s?
I mean, it's going to get done. I don't know how well, but I ain't going to not do it. It's going to get done.
It was my first day, and I was like, dude, I got to set the tone, man. And we had to call someone out. So the guy I called out is actually kind of funny. He was still there at the time. It was Gardner Minshew. So me and Gardner raced. And, dude, I had him beat. We were exact same time, and I had him beat towards the end. And, like, shuttle 300s is 625 yards down and back. And I miscounted. A typical freshman, I miscounted. I thought I was on my 6th, but I was on my 5th. So, like, I ended up stopped running, and he finished and beat me. I was like, are you kidding me? Yeah, but it's crazy that's now Gardner Minshew, NFL quarterback. He entered the portal like a month later, so I got to spend a little time with him.
Probably going to start this year for the Raiders, huh?
Yeah, he's made a lot of money. He signed a great contract with them. He's played really well. He's just a very smart guy, really accurate and all that. So we've talked about him before in the past. Boys, gritty. I want to gritty. Former walk-on, another former walk-on. They always find their way onto the Holton Ahlers show somehow. Boys, I want to let's I got to talk NBA. Before y'all trash me, I just want to say I am very proud of the Knicks. Yes, we lost. Our whole team was hurt. But the most disappointing was we had a freaking game in San Antonio during Game 7. So I'm sitting here like trying to get updates on the sideline of the game. I've watched almost every single Knicks game all year. I didn't get to watch Game 7 to go to the Eastern Finals, but I know they're going to trash me. Our whole team was hurt. I'm very proud. I think we have a team that can contend when we're healthy. So go ahead. Go say whatever you're going to say.
I don't want to hear the excuses from you. I do want to point out that Jalen Brunson and De'Aaron Fox are both in Cancun right now enjoying the conference finals from the same spot. And just to kind of defer your whole injury argument, me and Drew have been telling you the whole season it's your head coach's fault. Drew, you could back me up on this. The Knicks play their starters more than any other team in the league, and that's some classic wear and tear for you. So I don't feel bad for you. Welcome to my world.
Yeah, hopefully this is like a good learning curve for Thibs, but his track record would say that he's probably just going to do the same thing again next year. I also found out, I did not know this, Thibs gets a lot of blame for Derrick Rose ruining his career. So I did not know that his track record went back all the way to 2011 about just the minutes. So let's see if he learns his lesson. The Knicks are a deep team. You need to use them.
Well, I mean, yeah. He was subbing guys out when we had depth. At the end of the year, he had zero choice. I mean, we're sitting here playing Precious and Alec Burks starting in the playoffs or playing significant minutes. It's like, okay. So I mean, he didn't have a choice there. Who are our predictions to win it all, though? I'm gonna go ahead and say the Pacers are gonna get absolutely destroyed by the Celtics, even without Kristaps. And then I'm cheering for the Mavs now, though. I'm in Dallas. I hope the Mavs win. Who do y'all got?
So sports betting is legal in Colorado. And so I woke up. I've got a little routine going right now. I'm finally just got a couch in the apartment, so we're making strides.
Let's go.
But I woke up. I turned on First Take this morning, and I'm hearing Austin Rivers and Shannon Sharp talk about the Mavs versus T-Wolves series coming up, and they just made a point where I'm like, that's too good. Kyrie has so much experience in the playoffs. He's hit so many clutch shots. Luka's had more experience than the T-Wolves. For that reason, I am pulling for the Mavericks as well. So I think it's going to be Mavericks Celtics. I view the Celtics as the 49ers of the NBA. They've made it to the finals like 4 times and haven't won. So I wouldn't mind seeing them win, but I'm pulling for the Mavericks in this series.
I like it. Drew?
Yeah, this is to me, like, this is the first year in the NBA where we actually don't really have a significant, like, undisputable best team in the league. Last year, Denver was definitely the best team in the league. Now, like, depending on matchups, like, certain teams can beat certain teams, but like they probably couldn't beat another team, like, if that makes sense. So I'm just looking at matchups, and when I look at the Timberwolves and Mavs, the biggest matchup that sticks out to me is Karl Anthony Towns at the 4, and PJ Washington is probably going to have to guard him. And last time that they played, Karl Anthony Towns kind of had his way. He dropped 60 in the third quarter on PJ. So he's going to have to step up. And if the Mavs want to win, I think the X factor would probably have to be Kyrie. I think Kyrie, like, he's not going to be able to average under 20 this series and then win. So he'll have to step up. And but I think Cat is just going to be too much for PJ. And I think the Timberwolves in 6. That's what I'm feeling.
I like it. They're talking about Ant Edwards. They're comparing him to Michael Jordan, and like his mentality, dude. He reminds me of his mentality is like Kevin Garnett. Honestly, MJ is kind of the same mentality, just like the killer instinct. There's like recordings of him coming out like he was waving to the fans, and Joker wasn't excited about that in Game 7. So there might be a little rivalry brewing there. I like it. It honestly kind of feels like we're getting back to the old NBA, like the Knicks Pacers. Ants like talking trash again, like and backing it up. We're kind of getting away from the soft NBA. I would hope, and kind of getting into this old school rivalries. It's not super teams anymore. It's whoever has the best, the most depth, whoever has a superstar that can carry them and depth behind it. So I'm excited. I'm all for it. I got a question for you guys though, and we're gonna stay on the basketball train, but we're gonna talk about WNBA. Who and Lord knows would have ever thought we're talking about WNBA on the Holton Ahlers show, but I think and I want to get y'all's opinion. WNBA has the most eyes on it ever right now, and it's because of Caitlin Clark, obviously, and those that all this whole rookie class obviously is big. Is this a do or die for the WNBA this year? Like, they're going to have all the eyes on them because of, like I said, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and all these people. They got to kill it this year, or else the league might just fall apart because they have the eyes. Now they just got to keep the eyes there. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Is it do or die for them?
I don't think so. I think the WNBA has been improving steadily over the past couple of years with Sabrina Ionescu, who went to Oregon, and now she's on the New York Liberty. Like, she did that 3-point contest in the All-Star game with Steph Curry this year. And so I think that's just gaining traction. And I think she was kind of the leader of it in our generation. And then I think with this year's draft class, you're seeing them kind of struggle right now. And you see a lot of some of the older players in the WNBA, and they were like, yeah, we knew it'd take time for them to adjust because, I mean, even if you don't respect the WNBA as much, when you're jumping a level like that and you're going from playing college kids to professionals, you're going to see a change of pace and a kind of a change of play. So I think that they're going to get better, and I do not think that this year is a make or break for them.
Respect. I will say this, that I think I would average 25, 10, and 12 if I was a WNBA player. What do you think, Jack? Do you, Drew, Jack, do you boys think I could
I don't disagree, but I stand on my argument that Drew's not beating Caitlin Clark on a one-on-one.
Well, we talked about that enough, but I think you'd probably, Holton, I think you'd be the best transition player in the WNBA. I don't know if they would stop you on a fast break. So I think you'd have a real advantage there.
I'm dunking on them. Drew, do you got any thoughts on that? Is this do or die for the WNBA? Is this a long-term thing for them, or all the eyes this year? Do they got to keep them there?
I'd say that this is a do or die year. If you can't get the ratings right with your version of Michael Jordan, or Steph Curry, whichever comparison you want to make for what Caitlin Clark is, and I'm not saying that as in skill, I'm saying it as in media-wise, what she can bring to the table. Michael Jordan, when he came in, he revolutionized the NBA. They pushed him out to the media as much as they could. It worked. So if you can't get it done with your version of Michael Jordan, and the media is pushing Caitlin Clark out like crazy. You can see it. She's on ESPN every single game. They're trying their hardest, but I'd say it's working. I watched a WNBA game. I never would have done it if it wasn't Caitlin Clark. So they're making it happen. So it's special. The times are definitely changing, and I think what's also special is Caitlin Clark is playing subpar, and people are still watching. I feel like a lot of people, including me, kind of thought she was just going to come in and do the same thing she did. She's not, but I don't think her team's helping her too much. I saw one play. She's like running into a screen, and not one of her teammates is yelling screen. So she just runs into a brick wall, and just her teammates just watch her. So she needs some help. But I think the WNBA is in a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious. She was the first overall pick, which means she goes to the worst team. So she's definitely on the worst team. I was looking at the odds. They have like the fourth best odds to win it. And Vegas is just collecting free money because people are betting on Caitlin Clark. Like, I will say this, though. They played here in Arlington. There's a team here in Texas, or I don't know if there's a team, but they played here, and they promoted her face everywhere. You'd have thought we were in Indiana in her home spot but tickets were hard to get. They were like $180 because people want to go see her play. I will say this, that if the WNBA can keep the eyes on them, give it like 5 years, Caitlin Clark is going to have the Steph Curry effect on women's basketball. Like, Steph Curry came in the NBA, in college, and younger kids watched him and said, okay, you don't got to be 6'6", can dunk. You don't got to be the most athletic. Just learn how to shoot, learn how to dribble, and you can make it. And I would imagine there's girls that watch Caitlin Clark. I'm sure if you go to a Little League basketball game or a middle school basketball game, high school basketball game now, in women's basketball, I'm sure they're just jacking up threes, and that's a Caitlin Clark effect. So if the WNBA can keep the view steady and promote, give it a few years, I'm sure there's going to be a next Caitlin Clark, and then they're just going to start filing in kind of like the Steph Curry effect of that. So that's my take on that. Boys, I want to talk about something that's dependable, something that you can interchange and it stays the same. It's the best quality, and that is an Anson belt. Go to ansonbelt.com. There's a bajillion combinations of different belt buckles. You want to go American flag, you want to go ECU. They're getting other colleges now. You want to go, leather. You want to go. They got all sorts of stuff. And once you wear this belt, once you wear an Anson belt, you're not going to wear anything else. And that's just from experience. All of us have said it. Every review, go to their website. Every single review says the same thing. Once you get an Anson belt, you're not wearing another belt. Hate to say it. The holeless, micro adjustable, you can't beat it. You're not going to wear another whole belt in your entire life. I promise you that. I can stand on it. Jack Drew can stand on it. So shout out to Anson. Go to ansonbelt.com to check out all the 10,000 combinations or over 10,000 combinations. Boys, the time is this week. Your boys getting active this week. I'm getting put on the active roster. From what I've been told, I'm going to get in the game Saturday. So we play at 11 a.m. Central Time, so 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I don't know what channel we're on, but next 2 weeks. And we play in D.C. I'm telling ECU fans, I'm playing that game. Show out to D.C. I'm finally getting in the game of the UFL.
Free that man.
Freedom. Let's go.
Wear purple and gold, too. Take over D.C.
That'd cool. Take it over, like the freaking Military Bowl that was supposed to happen, but Boston College chicken out. But we still saw. I went out after they canceled the game, so I'll tell you this story. People like stories. I know we get a lot of feedback on that. So they canceled the Military Bowl, and it's supposed to be the day before the game, and I'm like, crap, dude. So I don't know why they gave us like a bowl per diem like that same day. So like everyone's sad, and everyone's like, they're like, the buses are leaving in 5 hours if you want to go to Greenville. And I'm like, screw that, I'm not going to Greenville, I'm staying in DC. There's a lot of fans here. So they give us like $300. Me and a couple guys are like, you know what, let's just go to the casino. So we go to the casino, we win big. So like, I'm like, you know what, the game canceled, but at least we won some money, and there's ECU fans there. We had a good time. Downtown Annapolis was purple and gold that night. It was one of the best nights of my college career. Obviously, I wish we could have played the bowl game, but going to another city is like downtown area, and it just be straight ECU purple and gold. Not just college students; these were like adults, like alumni, boosters. Like everyone was out, and it was like a celebration of a good season. So that was my story with that. So first time playing or supposed to playing in DC since then, boys. So I'm pretty pumped about it. I want to give a shout out real quick to our two other sponsors, Wayne Hardy Law 1-800-INJURED. We say it every week. You know, a great Greenville company. You want someone that you can trust. You want someone that treat you like family, especially in a lawyer. You want someone that will win you your case. Wayne Hardy Law will do all of that. 1-800-INJURED. Check those guys out. He's got a great team over there. And, I mean, you're not going to get better than them. So you might as well go ahead and call 1-800-INJURED and let them represent you because they will get the job done. They will treat you like family, and they will win your case. And then Mattamuskeet Goose Club. You know, we're Eastern North Carolina is no more Southern. I mean, I've been to Seattle and all that, and man, I miss the South. And Mattamuskeet Goose Club is just that. If you see their gear, you see their logo right there. They got tons of camo stuff, tons of hunting stuff. Go check them out, Mattamuskeet Goose Club. Thank you to Wayne Hardy and Mattamuskeet for repping the show. Boys, Drew, I want you to pop up the questions for us this week. We got the tweet out late, so we don't have as many, and then we'll close it up there.
All right. Well, the first one you kind of answered, so you can skip it if you want. But when will you be free? You already talked about it.
Let's go this week. I don't know how much I'm going to play, but I'll be playing this week.
Let's go. All right. The next question. We've seen some crazy uniforms drop the past couple months. Interested to know you guys' picks for the best/worst uniforms, both NFL and UFL.
All right.
I think we know who the worst is that's been recently released. I hope we're all on the same page with this.
I was going to let y'all do NFL, so go ahead and do that, and then I'll do UFL. Go ahead with NFL, Jack.
The worst released uniforms as of lately are by far the New York Giants trying to release this old school. They got like the Michigan helmet, but it's blue and red, but then they got like brown pants. It's just horrible. And you see I think is it Malik Neighbors who got drafted there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got asked about it, and he was like, all I'm going to say is it's going to be hard to swag out with these on.
That was bad.
Those are for sure the biggest loser of recent time.
Yeah, I would just to be different. I do agree with Jack. I saw those, and they're not eye candy for sure. But just scrolling through all the uniforms, I thought the Broncos had a pretty bad alternate. Where like they're all orange and like they got like the big no Diddy, they got the big orange D that's just on their helmets, and it just kind of sticks out like with the blue helmet. To me, that was bad. So I'll just throw those in there. Shout out J-Mac though. But yeah, those uniforms are pretty bad too.
Let's get J-Mac on the show soon. Jackson, Denver too. We need to get some Jackson sideline passes for the game. From the pod from J-Mac. Yeah, we'll get him on soon.
Pirates supporting Pirates.
For sure. I'll talk UFL just because obviously I'm playing it. A lot of people like our uniforms, the Renegades. I like them, but as an East Carolina purple and gold fan, I don't like the Carolina blue because I don't like Carolina. So I'm not going to say us. I'm going to say the best uniforms are the San Antonio Brahmas. I think they're clean. I like the gray. I've always liked the gray. You can see it right there on the screen. I like the gold. It was a cool environment. Played in the Dome, Alamo Dome this past weekend. It was a cool environment. Had good fan base. It was just really cool. They had like even boys. Y'all think this is cool? Y'all know I'm a wrestling fan. They had freaking during like a TV timeout. They had wrestlers come out there and they wrestled. Women wrestlers were out there just wrestling on the field. Like they were commentating, and I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. So it was a great environment. You can tell the culture's there is cool. So shout out to San Antonio. Worst, I got to go Michigan Panthers. Those things are hideous. I'm not a burgundy fan. Like the helmets, I do like the helmets. You can see them on the screen. Burgundy, gold, blue, and navy. Like such a Michigan thing. I feel like when you think of Michigan, you think of like plain and ugly, and that's what those are. So that's it.
Yeah, the blue doesn't look like supposed to be there.
The St. Louis Battlehawks have a good one.
They do. Shout out to them. They're
clean.
I will tell you, they made the playoffs for the XFL, and they play the Brahmas, and they'll be at home. Y'all need to watch, if you haven't watched a UFL game yet, you need to watch the playoffs when St. Louis plays, because they will pack out that dome. There'll be 45,000 plus, especially for the playoffs. If they win, the championship of the UFL is hosted in St. Louis. If the Battlehawks are in it, you got to watch, because it's probably going to be 60, 65,000. And like talking about great for TV and great for all that. If you want spring football, you need to cheer for the Battlehawks to win. Other than this week, we play them this week. I'm talking about in the playoffs. TV purposes, UFL purposes, future of the league purposes, you want St. Louis Battlehawks to win in the playoffs because it'd be a great environment. It'd be pretty sick. So I'm looking forward to that. Drew, we got any other questions?
Nah, that's it.
Let's go, boys. Shout out to Coach C for joining the show. Obviously, one of the best ever. I heard J-Mac. Let's see if we can get J-Mac on maybe next week, boys. If you notice, obviously, we're doing this remote right now. Drew's getting ready. We're getting the studio. Got some changes to the studio coming finally. So we're going to wait till I get back in Greenville to launch our new kind of look studio. So we'll be back soon. But appreciate Coach C. Appreciate you guys. Caden's off in Georgia working right now, so we'll get him on soon. But great episode 20. It's flown by, boys. Thank you to our sponsors, and we'll see you soon.